Hello all my dear student friends. Welcome to this session. Now let us study air conditioning. What do you mean by air conditioning? We have studied refrigeration and we have seen that refrigeration is a technique of obtaining and maintaining temperature below atmospheric temperature. So in case of refrigeration we have to remove the heat and decrease the temperature of a space or a substance. But in case of air conditioning, either we may be required to increase the temperature or we may be required to decrease the temperature of air, moist air. Right? So what is this air conditioning? Air conditioning means changing the condition of the air. So air conditioning is nothing but changing the condition of the air from present condition to required condition. So whatever is the available condition or the present condition of the air, that is changed, and required condition of the moist air which is present in the environment is obtained in a particular confined space. So that is nothing but the simple definition of air conditioning. But the technical definition of air conditioning is nothing but the simultaneous control of the various factors related with the moist air. Some factors related with the air or the environment around us which is present in a particular confined space. So we have to control these particular parameters of the air around us in a confined space. So what are these parameters which are controlled simultaneously? These parameters are temperature, relative humidity, air motion, air purity, sometimes even air quantity or the density or the pressure of the air, and also in some cases the odor or the fragrance of the air. So all these factors are simultaneously controlled, and that is nothing but air conditioning. So simultaneous control of temperature, relative humidity, air motion, air purity, air quantity, odor is called as air conditioning. Now air conditioning may be comfort air conditioning or industrial air conditioning. So for human comfort, mainly air conditioning is used. So what are the conditions, what are the values of these various parameters for human comfort? The temperature should be between 21 degree centigrade to 25 degree centigrade for human comfort, and we are maintaining the relative humidity between 40% to 60% so that the human beings feel comfortable. Then the air motion should be between 5 meter per minute to 8 meter per minute, right? So if the temperature is between 21 to 25 degrees centigrade, then we neither feel hot nor we feel cold. And if the relative humidity is say less than 40% or less than 35%, then we feel very dry, right? Or if the relative humidity is more than 60%, then the environment becomes sticky. The air, our body becomes sticky and we start sweating. So that environment we can experience in places like Bombay. And the air motion should not be, the velocity of the air should not be too high, not be too less for human comfort. So it should be between 5 to 8 meter per minute. Then the air should be pure. Then the air pressure or the quantity, that is the density of the air should be optimum, around 1 atmosphere. Then the smell, there should be no bad smell in the air, or the unnecessary unwanted odor should not be present in the air. So all these parameters, all these factors related with the air, moist air around us are controlled simultaneously, and that is nothing but air conditioning. Now let us study the classification as well as the applications of air conditioning. So while studying the classification of air conditioning, we can also study simultaneously the applications of air conditioning. So first type of air conditioning is comfort air conditioning, or we can say one of the important applications of air conditioning is comfort air conditioning. Air conditioning is used for human comfort. So that air conditioning is used in the homes, in the hospitals, in the ICUs, in the restaurants, in the theaters, in the offices, etc. Then next is the industrial air conditioning. So in various chemical, pharmaceutical and food processing plants, air conditioning is used, and that is nothing but the industrial air conditioning. So in various chemical, pharmaceutical and food processing plants like petroleum plant, tobacco processing, medicine, then the textile industries, then in the manufacturing of the beverages and the bakery products and the dairy products. Beverage means the various drinks like cold drinks which we are consuming in our day-to-day life. So in these various plants the air conditioning is used, and that is called as the industrial air conditioning. Then in the automobiles also air conditioning is used. Air conditioning in the cars, in the buses, trains and the airplanes and the ships, air conditioning is used, and that may be called as the automobile air conditioning. For transport of certain goods also air conditioning is used. So this was about the classification and the applications of air conditioning in short. Now let us study the basics of air conditioning. So in the basics of air conditioning we are going to study the psychrometry. So psychrometry is nothing but the engineering science which deals with the study of the properties of the thermodynamic properties or the psychrometric properties of the moist air, which is the working substance in air conditioning. Then we are going to study the Dalton's law of partial pressure, which states that the total pressure exerted by the mixture of gases is equal to the sum of the individual pressure exerted by each gas in a mixture of gases. Then we are also going to study the meaning of dry air, moist air and saturated air. Dry air is that air which doesn't contain moisture or doesn't contain water vapor. It is the mixture of nitrogen and oxygen and argon and carbon dioxide. So the percentage of nitrogen may be something like 78.03%. Oxygen present may be 20.98%, and the carbon dioxide present may be something like 0.03%. Argon may be present something like 0.98%. Then the moist air is nothing but the mixture of dry air and water vapor. So when water vapor is present in the dry air, that is called as the moist air. Okay. So on the earth's surface, if we are below 10 kilometers, within a 10 kilometer range and below 10 kilometer height above the earth's surface, you will find that the air which is present is generally moist air. It contains some water vapor. But if you go 10 kilometer above the surface of the earth or away from the surface of the earth, then you will find that moisture is not present in the air. So that is dry air. And when water vapor is present in the air, that is moist air. So moist air is the mixture of dry air and water vapor. Now air has certain capacity to hold the moisture depends upon the temperature. If the temperature is more, then air can hold more water vapor, right? So at a particular temperature, when the water vapor present in the air is maximum, that air is called as saturated air. Then we are also going to study the properties of moist air. We are going to study the dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature. Now when the temperature of the air is measured by a standard thermometer, and when the bulb of the thermometer is not affected by the moisture present in the air, or it is free from moisture, it is not coming in contact with the water, then that temperature is called as the dry bulb temperature. And if we tie a wet cloth to the bulb of the thermometer and we provide sufficient exposure to this wet cloth, the bulb of the thermometer is having sufficient exposure to the water or the moisture, and this evaporates, say up to the saturation limit, then the temperature which is measured is the wet bulb temperature, because the temperature will decrease because the evaporation water will evaporate up to saturation, right? Water will evaporate up to saturation, and the heat of evaporation will be taken from the bulb of the thermometer, and thus you can see that the wet bulb temperature will be less than the dry bulb temperature, okay, if the air is not saturated. Then we are going to study the wet bulb depression. So wet bulb depression is the difference between wet bulb temperature, dry bulb temperature, and wet bulb temperature. So we are going to study all this in details. Right now I am just summarizing this, that what we are going to study. So I am just giving you a rough idea right now, but later on we are going to study each and every point in details. So wet bulb depression, that is WBT, is the difference between dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature, WBT. Okay, so this is WBT, is the wet bulb temperature. Then we are also going to study the dew point temperature. So if the moist air is cooled at constant pressure, then what will happen is that at a particular temperature the dew formation will start, or the water vapor present in the air will start to condense out, and that temperature is called as the dew point temperature. Then the dew point depression is the difference between dry bulb temperature and dew point temperature. The specific humidity we are going to study. Specific humidity is also called as humidity ratio or moisture content or absolute humidity. So the specific humidity omega is the ratio of the mass of water vapor in a given sample of moist air to the mass of dry air in the same sample of moist air at the same temperature and pressure. Then the relative humidity is the ratio of the mass of water vapor of the given sample of moist air to the mass of water vapor in the same sample if it would have been saturated at the same temperature and pressure. Then the degree of saturation is nothing but the ratio of the specific humidity of the given sample of moist air to the specific humidity of the same sample of moist air if it would have been saturated at the same temperature and pressure. So let us study all these points in detail one by one. So in psychrometry we are going to study first of all dry air. First of all we must know what is the dry air. So when we say the air is dry, that means air doesn't contain any moisture. That means no water is present, neither in liquid nor in the vapor condition. So generally air is present, water is present in the air in the vapor condition. So water vapor may be present in the air. So if water vapor is not present in the air, then that air is called as the dry air. So then that dry air is the mixture of various gases like nitrogen, something like 78.03%, oxygen 20.99%, argon is 0.94%, carbon dioxide is 0.03%. Then the moist air is nothing but the mixture of dry air and water vapor, dry air plus water vapor. So moist air is the mixture of dry air and water vapor. And now psychrometry, after studying the moist air, now let us study psychrometry. Is the branch of engineering science which deals with the study of the thermodynamic properties of the moist air. Okay, so we are studying the thermodynamic properties of moist air, and the branch of engineering science which is in which we are studying the properties, the thermodynamic properties or the psychrometric properties of moist air is nothing but psychrometry. And we are also using these properties, the use of these properties to analyze conditions and processes involving moist air is nothing but psychrometry. So all these properties, we are not only studying these properties, but we are using the study of these properties to analyze the various conditions and processes involving moist air. So various processes in which the moist air, the change in the condition of the moist air is taking place. All these processes we are going to study under psychrometry. Now the Dalton's law of partial pressure states that the total pressure which is exerted by the mixture of gases is equal to the sum of the individual pressures exerted by each gas. So when we have a mixture of gases, say gas number 1, 2 and 3 etc., and we add these the pressures P1 plus P2 plus P3, and this partial pressure of each gas we are adding, and if we add that, we get the total pressure which is exerted by the mixture of all these gases. So that is nothing but the Dalton's law of partial pressure. And now let us define the saturated air. We have defined the dry air, moist air. So dry air doesn't contain any water vapor, moist air is the mixture of dry air and water vapor. But what is the quantity of the water vapor present in the air? That is important. And what can be the maximum quantity of water vapor present in the air? Does it depend on the temperature? Yes, of course, it depends upon the temperature. If the temperature is high, then the air can hold more water vapor. Beyond a certain capacity, the air cannot hold water vapor. So the percentage of water vapor which is present in the air, that is limited, and that depends upon the temperature. Okay. So if the temperature increases, the capacity of the air to hold the water vapor increases. So at a particular temperature, when the water vapor present in the air is maximum, then that air is called as saturated air. So we can't add further water vapor in that particular moist air if we don't increase the temperature. If the temperature is same, further addition of water vapor in the air, in the moist air, is not possible, and that condition of the moist air is called as the saturated condition, and that moist air is called as the saturated air. Now some other terms we are going to study in the psychrometry. We are going to study the properties of the moist air. First important property is the dry bulb temperature. In short, it is called as dBT, or it is also indicated like this, capital T with the suffix dB, small dB is the suffix. So that is the notation of the dry bulb temperature. So what is this dry bulb temperature? So otherwise, in other subjects, we just call temperature. But in psychrometry, instead of just calling temperature, we call it dry bulb temperature, because it is the temperature which is measured by a thermometer, standard thermometer, when its bulb is dry, or when the bulb is not affected by the moisture or the water vapor. Then that temperature which is measured, the ordinary temperature, ordinary thermometer measured by ordinary thermometer or the standard thermometer, is called as the dry bulb temperature. So dry bulb temperature dBT is the temperature of the moist air as measured by standard thermometer or any other temperature measuring instrument which is not affected by the moisture present in the air, right, or when the bulb of the thermometer is dry. So it is usually referred to as the air temperature. So the air temperature is nothing but the dry bulb temperature. So with dry bulb temperature, the sensible heat content of the air can be determined. Okay. So if you know the dry bulb temperature, we can also easily find out the sensible heat content in the air. Now next is the wet bulb temperature, WBT, or it can be noted like this, capital T with suffix small w small b. So what is wet bulb temperature? Wet bulb temperature is the temperature of the moist air as measured by a thermometer. It is also measured by a thermometer. But when a wet cloth is tied to the bulb of the thermometer and it is sufficiently exposed to the air. So a wet bulb should be tied to the bulb of the thermometer. A wet cloth should be tied to the bulb of the thermometer, and this wet cloth should be sufficiently exposed to the air, or we can wrung this particular thermometer whose bulb is tied with the wet cloth in the air to a sufficient speed, so that there will be sufficient exposure, and this water which is present in the say cloth, wet cloth, will evaporate, and the heat of evaporation will be taken from the bulb, and that will reduce the temperature. Almost it is theoretically it is expected that the saturated condition of the air should be reached, and that temperature is called as the wet bulb temperature. Now wet bulb depression is nothing but the difference between dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature. Wet bulb depression short form is WBD. Now the dew point temperature denoted by dPT or capital T with suffix small dp, right? So dew point temperature is the temperature at which water vapor in the air start to condense if the air is cooled at constant pressure. So what we are doing is that we are cooling the air at constant pressure. We are cooling the moist air, right? So as the temperature decreases, the capacity of the air to hold the water vapor decreases, right? And a point reaches when due to the decrease in the temperature, the air cannot hold the water vapor which was present in it. So the air will become saturated. Air will become saturated, and the excess water vapor will be condensed out, will start to condense out. So at that temperature, when the water vapor will start to condense out from that particular moist air, if it is cooled at constant pressure, that temperature is called as the dew point temperature. So the temperature at which air becomes completely saturated, the temperature at which air becomes completely saturated is nothing but the dew point temperature. Above this temperature, the moisture stays in the air. If the temperature is increased, then moisture will stay in the air. But at this temperature, moisture cannot stay in the air. So that is the dew point temperature. Dew point depression is the difference between dry bulb temperature and dew point temperature. Now the specific humidity, next property we are going to study is the specific humidity. It is also called as the humidity ratio, moisture content, or absolute humidity. So it is denoted by omega. So the specific humidity omega is the ratio of the mass of water vapor which is present in the given sample of moist air to the mass of dry air in the same sample of moist air at the same temperature and pressure. Or in other way we can define it as the specific humidity is the amount of water vapor by weight present in 1 kg of dry air, right? Or the weight of water vapor in kg present in 1 kg of dry air. So if we take a mixture of moist air and a mixture of air and water vapor, that is moist air, right? And if you try to measure the water vapor and also try to measure the mass of dry air, measure the mass of water vapor, measure the mass of dry air, take the ratio, right? But that in that ratio the dry air should be 1 kg, right? So the amount of water vapor by weight present in 1 kg of dry air is nothing but the specific humidity omega, or humidity ratio, or moisture content, or absolute humidity. So the moisture content of the air is expressed as the weight of water vapor per unit weight of dry air. Weight of water vapor per unit weight of dry air, that is nothing but specific humidity. So the weight of the water vapor present in kg to the weight of dry air present in also kg, right? Kilogram. That is nothing but specific humidity. Now next definition is the relative humidity. So relative humidity is generally expressed in percentage, right? So when relative humidity is 100%, that means the air is saturated. Air is saturated. So relative humidity is the ratio of the mass of water vapor in the given sample of moist air to the mass of water vapor in the same sample of moist air if it is saturated, if it would have been saturated at the same temperature and pressure, right? So relative humidity phi is defined as the ratio of the mole fraction of water vapor in moist air to the mole fraction of water vapor in saturated air. This is one more definition. At the same temperature and pressure. Actually, these definitions are almost same. Instead of saying mass, here it is said mole fraction of water vapor. Now the relative humidity is also defined as the ratio of the partial pressure of water vapor PV to the saturation pressure of pure water vapor at the same temperature, that is PS, right? So the partial pressure of the water vapor to the saturation pressure at the same temperature, right? So if the water vapor is saturated, then the pressure will be different, and that is called as the saturation pressure, and that ratio of these two pressures is also the relative humidity of the moist air. So relative humidity is normally expressed as a percentage. When relative humidity is 100%, the air is supposed to be saturated. Now degree of saturation. Degree of saturation is denoted by mu. So it is the ratio of the humidity ratio, right? It is the ratio of the humidity ratio or the ratio of the specific humidity. So degree of saturation is the ratio of the humidity ratio omega to the humidity ratio of the saturated mixture omega S at the same temperature and pressure, right? So this degree of saturation is the ratio of the specific humidities. Specific humidity of the given sample to the specific humidity of the same sample if that sample is saturated at the same temperature and pressure, right? So this degree of saturation is also defined as the ratio of the humidity ratio or specific humidity omega of the given sample of moist air to the specific humidity omega S of the same sample if it would have been saturated at the same temperature and pressure, right? So in place of humidity ratio, you can also say specific humidity or moisture content, because the meaning is same, right? So this is the definition of the degree of saturation. So we have studied almost all the properties of the moist air, and now we are going to study the psychrometric chart and how all these properties are represented on the psychrometric chart. Let us study the constant property lines on the psychrometric chart. So first of all, what is a psychrometric chart? Psychrometric chart is nothing but a graph on which we can represent the various properties. We can represent first of all the condition of the moist air. The condition of the moist air will be represented by the particular point on this chart, right? And the processes will be represented by the lines or curves along with the arrows indicating in which direction the process is being completed, right? So the x-axis, the horizontal axis, on the horizontal axis dry bulb temperature or DBT is plotted on the psychrometric chart. Then the vertical axis, on the vertical axis specific humidity is plotted. Specific humidity omega is plotted on the vertical axis, right? Then we draw this horizontal and vertical line, and then we join these 2 points by a curve, and that curve is called as the saturation line or the saturation curve. So this curve is called as the saturation curve. Now the constant property lines we are going to show. First of all, the constant dry bulb temperature line will be vertical, okay? So this vertical line is nothing but the constant dry bulb temperature line, constant DBT line, because the horizontal axis or the x-axis represent the dry bulb temperature. Dry bulb temperature is plotted on the horizontal axis. Therefore this vertical line or all the vertical lines represent constant values of dry bulb temperature. So the dry bulb temperature at this point will be same as the dry bulb temperature at this point. That will be same as the dry bulb temperature at this point. On all the points dry bulb temperature will be same, okay? If we draw another parallel vertical line, then also the dry bulb temperature will be same, but the value will be different, right? Okay, it will be different, but it will be same along that line. if the dry bulb, if this vertical line is drawn to the right, then the value will be increased, more dry bulb temperature will be increased. If this line is drawn to the left, then the dry bulb value of dry bulb temperature will be reduced, less dry bulb temperature, right? But it will be constant along the line. Okay, so this line is the constant dry bulb temperature line. Similarly, since specific humidity is plotted on the y-axis or this vertical axis on the right hand side, this horizontal line represent constant specific humidity. This horizontal line represent constant specific humidity, or it is a constant specific humidity line. Now this line is also a constant dew point temperature line. The dew point temperature is also constant along this horizontal line. Okay, the value you can read here, or you can draw a vertical line like this. Okay, and you will get the dew point temperature here. So the dew point temperature is less than the dry bulb temperature if air is not saturated. Okay, then one more line we can draw. This is a constant specific volume line. The specific volume will be constant along this line, right? Then we are drawing this inclined line. It is a constant wet bulb temperature line. Constant wet bulb temperature line. Okay, so if you draw a vertical line like this, that is the value of wet bulb temperature. You can draw from this point, you can draw the vertical line, that is the wet bulb temperature. So you can see that wet bulb temperature is less than dry bulb temperature. Here you can draw vertical line, that is the dew point temperature. So dew point temperature is again less than wet bulb temperature, right? If the condition of the air is not saturated. If the condition of the air is saturated, then the dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature and dew point temperature, all these temperatures are same. Suppose this is the point, then at this point you will find that dPt, WBT, dBT, all these temperatures will be same. You can draw a line like this. Okay, so this is a constant wet bulb temperature line, but at the same time it is also constant enthalpy line, and this one is nothing but the curve which represent constant relative humidity. The relative humidity is constant along this curve. Okay, so this curve we can say it is parallel to the saturation line. Saturation line means relative humidity is 100%. Air is saturated. Okay, so the air doesn't contain further capacity to hold the water vapor. So air is called as the saturated air, right? But here this air is unsaturated here, and this, but the relative humidity will be constant. Suppose here the relative humidity is something like 60%, so here it also it will be 60%, 60%, 60%. So along this curve, at all the points, the relative humidity will be 60% only. Okay, if you draw another curve here like this, it will be less than 60%, but constant along the curve. Constant along the curve. If you draw a line like this here, or a curve like this between these 2 points, between these 2 curves, then the relative humidity will be more than this value and less than 100%. Okay, now this is a constant wet bulb temperature line, at the same time it is a constant enthalpy line, and here we have the enthalpy scale which is perpendicular to this. Okay, so this is nothing but the enthalpy scale. So we can also find out the enthalpy of the moist air. So these are the various properties of the moist air, and these are the various constant property lines which are shown on the psychrometric chart. So I have shown only one line each. In the actual chart there will be several such lines, right? It will be dense, it will consist of several large number of lines drawn in a dense manner, right? And that is the actual psychrometric chart. This is nothing but the skeleton psychrometric chart, in which I am showing you the sample lines of that is the constant property lines, right? So this was the psychrometric chart, and we also studied the psychrometric properties. So many things about psychrometry we have studied. In the next class we will study the psychrometric processes. So thank you my dear friends.